Namaskar and very warm welcome to all the viewers to the lecture series. Friends, I, Dr. Renu Tomar, today is going to talk about instilling instructional leadership. What is instructional leadership? Why is it so relevant in the present context? What are the factors which are influencing for leading to instructional leadership? Apart from that, what are the constraints which stops to achieve instructional leadership? All these we shall be discussing today. Friends, let us take example of two schools in the neighborhood. But the schools may have the same kind of building. But still, whenever we talk about those two schools as a layman, as a people who are interested in getting their children admitted, we differentiate those schools on certain elements. Those elements are underlined by the fact that what is deciding those schools to function. Let us try to identify those elements. Usually the elements which differentiate one school to another is, we would say, the infrastructure is one school is better than the other school. Then we may say that the environment and ambience of one school is better than the other school. We may also say that the one school has better qualified teachers. That is why this school is better than the other school. So, whenever we talk about the quality of the school, generally our attitude is defined by the fact that what kind of elements that school has. And friends, let us admit the fact that all these elements are decided by the leadership of the school. Usually the leadership is such an attribute which is not commonly viewable. As an outsider, as a parent, we may not be able to see what kind of leadership the school has. But the outcome of the working of that school will help us to identify what kind of leadership that school has. So friends, today we are going to discuss that how to bring the best leadership to the school so that we can have better environment in the school and as a result better schooling of the students who are admitted in that school. At times we also differentiate the schools by the fact that one school has better teaching learning material. What is teaching learning material? It's not just the textbooks. It is more than that. Like if you compare one school to another, you will say that the computers are more available, the softwares are more available, every class has smart board. So that makes a school better than the other. Is it a fact? Of course, it is fact to some extent because it encompasses the fact that one school has better facilities than the other school which has not that good facilities. But having facilities is not enough to make school better than the other, because having facilities in home, as we usually say that if we provide good facilities at home, can we really ensure that the home is providing the kind of environment to the children which is best for their grooming? Definitely not. Facilities cannot ensure the best grooming at home. Similarly, the facilities cannot ensure the best schooling. Utilizing those facilities, autonomy to the teachers as to use those facilities, the permission to utilize their expertise in the curriculum enhancement or curriculum modification, the freedom to become of autonomy in a way that the teachers, if they are allowed to become leaders in their own way in their class, if they are allowed to act as a leader, that is usually found to be one of very strong variable which helps in improving the functioning of the school. Usually we call it democratic kind of a leadership which is being provided by the principal of the school or head of the school that decides the function of the school. But democratic leadership is also has its own lacunas, because democratic leadership, if it is not being controlled appropriately, that usually results in failure of a system, because there the everybody whosoever has been given the freedom may become over enthusiastic and may use one's autonomy to such an extent that the strength of the principal who has provided democratic leadership may fail or fade away with time. So it's very important that if a principal is practicing democratic leadership, then the principal has to take care of the fact that one does have very strong hold as far as discipline is concerned, one does have very strong hold as far as trust of the teachers in her leadership is concerned. Only then we can say that democratic leadership will function well. What are the other kind of leadership? Usually the kind of a leadership which we see in the school is autocratic, which is bound by certain norms and provisions. The principals are bound by the policies, the principals are bound by the rules, and accordingly they run the school. And most of the time it is seen that the leader of the school, that is principal, is so much engrossed in paperwork, on data management, on doing the finishing the paperwork of the school. They are so engrossed in maintaining the discipline, in timetable, in providing the records, maintaining the records and accounts and PTM, holding PTM, doing the paperwork of the PTM. They are so much engrossed in those activities that they hardly get time, or they in the longer way they lose interest in dealing with the pedagogical aspects of the school. And the result is the kind of a leadership we get is of no use, because leader is acting as a robo. The functions of the leader are so mechanized that being there or not being there hardly matter, and the sole function of the leader there is to maintain the discipline through punishment. Award system also vanishes from such kind of schools. The third kind of leadership, which is very important, and usually we see it in the organizations which are very successful: participatory leadership, participatory management. What is participatory management? Participatory management means that each one gets scope and space to do their best. Each one means the teachers, the principal, the non-teaching staff, and most importantly the students and their parents. Everybody gets space and scope to function to their best abilities, and the result is, due to the participation of everyone to their best abilities, the organization improves and shows better results. The academic results, curriculum, co-curriculum activities also improves, and even the personality of the students is also seen to be very much developed in such kind of organization. But this kind of leadership is very difficult. At times we say that whenever we talk about leadership, as the topic itself says, which we have picked up today, that we are instilling instructional leadership. Whenever we talk about instructional leadership would mean that instructing those who are the instructors in the school. Of course, the teachers are the instructor. And who is going to be the instructional leader? Of course, the head of that organization is going to be the instructional leader. Now question is, can we really instill the leadership in anybody, or is it part of the personality of a person? Because this is also one of a topic which has been discussed a lot by people at large, that the leadership is inherent, it cannot be taught. There are two schools who vary as far as their thinking is concerned, as far as leadership is concerned. One school which firmly believes that the leadership is inherent, and another school which firmly believes that leadership can be taught and it is something which is a part of a training, and we should make it a important part and parcel of our educational process, so that we can instill instructional leadership. Friends, I would say both the school are right and both the school are wrong. Both the school are right in a way that it is a fact that leadership is part of certain personality. There are certain personal variables which make a person a good or a better leader. But this is also a fact that leadership can be instilled. People can be trained in the leadership. And to improve our education organizations, that is school system, it is very, very relevant that we do train our leaders, that is the head of the organization, principal, vice principals or the headmasters, as far as school functions are concerned, as far as theories are concerned, the leadership theories are concerned, as far as organization behavior is concerned, as far as human resource management is concerned, and also most importantly being innovative in pedagogical relevance or pedagogical principles. All these components, when they come together, then we say that instructional leadership is being instilled or generated. All of them have to become part of training. Only then we can believe or we can trust that we would be able to create better leaders. Friends, it is usually seen that when principal or a headmaster is given the task of school administration, it takes almost 3 to 4 years for the person to understand that what school management is. And once the person has understood, then what happens is that person becomes so passive and so settled that he or she keep on smoothly running the show which he or she has understood after passing of certain time. So how can we expect that person to act as a leader? How can we expect that the individual will be able to add something from his side or her side for the improvement of the school? So it's very much important that if the school has to improve, one, the person, the leader has to be trained. Secondly, all the participators in the running of the school also need to be well informed. Only then together the leader and the other participants can function as a team. They can share their ideas and information and accordingly improve the working of the school. To give a very small example, generally it is seen that when teacher goes to the staff room, they usually discuss about the students which they are teaching in their classes. As a principal, one can use this kind of aspect also very easily. Ask the teachers to discuss the students' positivity and negativity and accordingly provide a report and design how that particular student can be improved as far as his curriculum, academic performance are concerned. Thereby, the teachers would be becoming more innovative and the discussion which is generally started in the staff room and finishes in the staff room, and at times is also seen to be taking negative turn when the teachers become very critical of the students. This itself will become asset to the school if the students are being discussed in the staff room by the teachers as far as their persona is concerned, their academic performances are concerned, their curriculum is concerned, their extracurricular activities participation is concerned. If all those activities are being discussed by the teachers whosoever are teaching that individual student, then naturally they would be able to add on in such a manner that the student will be benefited, because when it is being discussed it becomes a part of a brainstorming, and when the brainstorming is being done for certain characteristics with an agenda to improve the student, to move forward, then naturally the outcome have to be very positive and strong. So friends, these kind of activities can be instilled by the principal amongst the teachers. And of course, teachers can also discuss how to make their classroom interesting, how to see to it that the needs of the students are being addressed in those classroom and the students become involved in the classroom. Of course, this can be done again by instilling that kind of environment in the school which is based upon discussion and adding of information, making educational process an enterprising activity, making it an innovative activity. And for that, of course, the school leader has to play an anchoring role. The school leader will have to bring the teachers together and give certain examples, motivate them to think on those lines, motivate them to speak their ideas, make them enact those ideas, appreciate each other, and accordingly come out with certain results, and thereby this circle should go on, this circle of innovation, interesting class innovation leading to classes being interested, resulting certain academic outcome being discussed, and accordingly deciding new interesting activities which are to be practiced in the class. This has to go on in a circular manner in the class. If this kind of aptitude is developed amongst the teachers, then naturally the school will come out to be a very innovative place, and if the school is innovative, that means the students are interested. If the students are interested, then naturally the problem of dropout rate will vanish, because the students don't want to come to the school because they find the school very boring place. What are the reasons why we are not able to do it in our classes, or we are not able to do it in the schools? There are certain constraints which we need to discuss as to understand that why the school principals are not able to take up such kind of activity and make the school a dynamic place, make their classes very dynamic from the learner's point of view. The reason for that is, usually whenever we talk about head of the school, what kind of ability do we look for in the head of those school? One, he or she has to be good at public relation. Why? Because he or she has to market the school well. If he or she is not good at establishing marketability of the school in socio-economic terms, then naturally the school has failed the school management, which is private and who established the school with a vision of earning money. So this is one of a very important aspect which stops school leaders becoming school leaders. They remain school leaders only in the terminology. When they become head of the school, they become head of the school principal, that's all. Another things which are very important are that neither the pedagogical interest nor the humility in leadership and facilitating the school as far as differentiated curriculum is concerned, this is neither sought in the persona of the principal nor valued. So this is also one of an important aspect which stops the school principals trying to become better leaders or trying to learn leadership. Another important aspect which is very important is that what kind of work the principals are doing. The principals are more concerned about the data entry, report writing, holding examination, monitoring of schedules. They are more important than the pedagogical guidance, mentoring, knowledge development of teachers. These are of least important as far as school are concerned. That is why whenever the school is compared with each other, usually the school is compared on the basis of academic record. And who decides academic record? Of course, the marks of the students. So, because marks of the students are at the center of the performance of the school. So, that is why becoming innovative in teaching is completely out of the box an idea for the school principals. They are more concerned about the performance of the students, and that performance of the student is usually taken as the most important and the only variable as far as success of the school is concerned. But friends, still we find that the schools are often attributed to poor teaching. Why do we have poor teaching? How we can improve upon the poor teaching? Now this brings us to a question that do we have a single formula of instilling leadership in the school organizations heads in such a manner that it is applicable in every situation and in every school? Can we have a single formula? Definitely not. The formula will vary, but of course the formula will have the basic variables like pedagogical interest, humility in leadership, and ability to facilitate differentiated curriculum. These will be the parameters for designing and deciding the leadership, but they will also vary in a way that if the school is found to be poor and it has to be improved to become fair performing as far as the performance of the school is concerned, if it needs to be improved from poor school to good school, if it is to become from good to great, and if it is to become from great to excellent, then of course the formula for all the three categories would be different. And this need to be understood that what differentiate the formula? The formula would be differentiated by the fact that what the school does have, what does the poor school have, and what is needed to make it good. What does the good school have? What is needed to make it better? What does a great school have to make it excellent? So all these aspects have to be unraveled, understood by the school leader. Only then we can say that the school will be able to improve. But most important aspect is, in every kind of a school, development needs of the children is at the center. And because development needs of the children and design of the management of school curriculum is not linked, this is the basic reason why the schools are not able to perform well. This is the basic reason for poor performance of the school, because the students as they are and what they need, that is delinked from the design of the school curriculum. This should be at the center as it is there in the Western nation. Other aspect which make the school leaders not being able to perform well is the government bodies which are in the controlling the school organization, which are there to created to support the organization, maybe DIET, maybe BOs or CRCs. They are created to support, but usually they end up becoming the controlling agencies because they are unaware of the intra-organizational roles and inter-organizational roles. they are rarely able to visualize planning, preparation and change facilitation. The result is that the organizations which have been created to improve the performance of the school and its components, the human components, that is teachers and the principal, they end up becoming the negatively controlling organization. They, rather than becoming a facilitation organization, they end up as controlling organization. There are very few organizations, when we talk of India, there are very few organizations which are really working as to give us certain research, as to inquire certain and give us that what kind of leadership is suitable, how the leadership is to be improved, what kind of training should be provided to the principals, how research is to be added. For example, NUPA, everybody has heard about this organization, National University of Educational Planning and Administration, which was previously called NIPA, that is National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration. And of course, in addition to NUPA, we have HIPA also, and we have CMATS also. These are the organizations which are focused as far as finding out that what kind of variables one should be working upon as a school leader has to improve the school education. They have given lot of researches as to provide the administrative and institutional and educational leadership modules. They have also provided the methods of inquiry, researches, training and learning also. But still, if we compare India in comparison to the other nations, we are not just referring to developed nations, we are also referring to nations which are developing just like us, or at times are underdeveloped also, but there are more number of organizations in those nations, and the result is that they are able to provide the better school education. So friends, on this note, I will take your leave. I will join you continuing the same series, the same topic, and discussing further that how we can instill leadership amongst our principal. Namaskar and have a good day.